Ladies and gentlemen, 343 has released some new Halo Infinite content. That's right, Halo Infinite has new playable content. Woohoo! So today we're putting the new map through its paces. Now I've actually noticed a trend with these brand new Forge maps made by Sperasoft Studios, and it's that they're considerably worse in almost every single way to the community's very own Forge maps. Now, Corrosion is the second map made by the external company Sperasoft Studios. It is created through Forge, not the official dev tool that 343 uses for, say, Prism. And the gimmick for the map is corrosive pools of acid that if you stand in them will cut through your shields and health and kill you over time. So what I'm going to do today is go through the positives, what the map does well, then I'm going to go through the negatives and explain exactly why these new maps made by Sperasoft are much worse than the community made maps. So let's get into it. Let's do the positives first. First of all, I love the gimmick. The corrosive acid, very well done. It doesn't damage you all too much, but if you're weak and you jump into it, it is going to kill you. I also really like that this map in a lot of ways feels like a Halo 3 map. And by that I mean, I really like how Sperasoft has incorporated vehicular and infantry combat together. There's mongooses, there's ghosts, but there's also lots of weapons to balance them out, and outside of the issues I'm going to talk about in a second, it plays very well. I love seeing my teammates get the oddball onto a mongoose and drive it around. That is peak Halo, and something you don't see all that often anymore. And there's also lots of weapon variety. So there's a shock rifle, sniper rifle, rocket launcher, lots of different ways you can play the way you want. That's also very good. It also helps that there is so many weapons. The Ghost can be overpowered. This is seen a lot in the Halo 3 Refueled playlist, as the Ghost on, say, Isolation or High Ground will absolutely decimate everything. All the weapons on Corrosion seem to balance it out nicely. I myself will just grapple hook the Ghost and it takes it out of the game very quickly. So after saying that, it raises the question, wow Remy, that actually sounds pretty good. So what is wrong with it? And I'm glad you asked, YouTube viewer. The problem with this map and the first one Sperasoft released called Elevation is it fails to meet the checklist that 343 gives our very own Halo Forge community for them to get maps into matchmaking. What's on the list? Well, 343 covered it in a blog post over a year ago now, but it mainly says good spawn points, good aesthetic, good frame rate, the overall polish needs to be of a high standard, good weapon placement, and also good balancing. It's more or less a checklist of what a good map should have. If you do meet that criteria and 343 likes your map, they'll give you a blue box next to your map to say it's recommended. Once you get that, the next step is it could come to matchmaking after further refinements. The problem with both Corrosion and Elevation is that they both fail to meet this checklist, and they're being paid as a third-party contractor to complete maps for the game, whereas the people doing it for a hobby out of passion are doing a way better job. So what exactly is the issue? First up, spawn points. The respawn points on the map. On both Elevation and Corrosion, they don't flip sides, meaning for game modes like Oddball or Strongholds, you can just take the ball to your side of the map and you will always respawn on the ball. Regardless of if the enemy is on your side or not, you will always spawn in that one spot over and over again. Even when you play Slayer, one team will only spawn on one side, so I can just sit in one spot on the map and spawn kill them over and over again. This is especially bad on Elevation, as the enemy team will only spawn in front of me on the Pelican. How did nobody notice this? Did nobody test this? You've got people being paid money to make these maps and they're worse than the Forges. Again, and I've said this a lot over the past month, this is really easy stuff. And I'm surprised the Sperasoft employees didn't pick this up. To take it a step further, and we've heard this from 343 themselves, to get a map into matchmaking can take upwards of 6 months, BTB over a year. On top of that, it has rigorous testing and phases to go through to even be considered to go into matchmaking. And then on the other hand, you have Sperasoft who are getting paid to do this and they're doing a worse job. Another checklist item that all forgers need to adhere to get a map into rotation is the bots need to actually work. And on Elevation and Corrosion, they don't. On Elevation, they're completely broken. They'll just jump off into the void over and over again. It's bad. On Corrosion, they walk right into the corrosive acid and kill themselves. I asked the forgers if this was an easy fix, and they themselves said it feels like the Sperasoft maps that were made in days, and the fix to the bot pathing so they don't run and jump off the map takes 2 minutes. That's right, 2 minutes. I haven't even mentioned yet that aesthetically, they're not even up to par with the community maps. This is the Sperasoft aesthetic, and I've shown it before, but this is the Forge's aesthetic. Both have the same frame rate, but one is a clear standout to many of the people in the Forge community I asked who do have maps in matchmaking. They think the maps by Sperasoft haven't been arted at all. They think they're all in the blockout phase and need a lot more prettying up. I'm honestly pretty surprised 343 didn't have any issues with either of these maps, but there's some pretty glaring issues on both. And don't get me wrong, I like the low grav gimmick on elevation, and I like the corrosive acid element on corrosion. Both very good, but there's significant issues across the board with the entire map in terms of aesthetic, respawn points, even bot pathing. And if I was 343, I'd give the maps to the forgers so they can 1, update the maps, and 2, at the very least, do the bot pathing and fix the respawn points, as they're pretty big problems. So with that said, guys, let me know what you think, as these people are literally getting paid to do the maps, and I think more should be done, but that's entirely up to 343. As I said, at the very least, make Sperasoft's quality to the same standard as the community forgers. I don't think that's asking all that much. So that's it. That's all I had to say. As you can see, this is way too much to say in yesterday's news video, and it's very, very important. Whatever comes out on Halo Infinite has to be high quality, and I'm sure you guys would agree with that too. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.